At 95, the legend finally dropped his mask, revealing a side darker and sharper than anyone ever imagined. He's naming 6 stars who betrayed him when loyalty mattered most. They stood beside him in fame and glory, then stabbed him in the back. Once you hear the names, you'll understand why Clint Eastwood never forgave and never forgot. Number 1. Leonardo DiCaprio, the golden boy. Clint Eastwood never forgave. The culprit? Leonardo DiCaprio. On J. Edgar in 2010, the pairing seemed perfect. Hollywood's stoic master director and its most intense actor. But it quickly turned into a quiet nightmare. From day one, DiCaprio arrived with folders of notes, pages of research, even FBI memos. Clint's patience evaporated fast. During an emotional breakdown scene, Leo nailed it in one flawless take, but wanted another and another. By the 6th take, Clint leaned on the craft table, coffee in hand, stone-faced. "He's still searching for something I already found," he muttered. When filming wrapped, there was only silence. DiCaprio's name came up in casting meetings. Clint shook his head. "Great actor, but not my kind." They never worked together again. To Clint, perfection isn't about doing it again. It's about doing it once, perfectly, and never wasting another second. Number 2. Michael Moore, the man who pushed Clint too far. When Moore compared American Sniper to Nazi propaganda, it was as if he'd pulled the trigger on a friendship that never existed. Clint stood there, silent. It wasn't their first clash. Tension had simmered since 2005, when Eastwood stood on stage at the National Board of Review Awards and growled, "If Michael Moore ever shows up at my door with a camera, I'll kill him." The room laughed nervously. Clint didn't. He stared straight ahead and walked off stage. That wasn't a joke. It was a line in the sand. To understand the grudge, you have to know what Clint stands for. Discipline, quiet service, old-school honor. Moore's documentaries, especially Fahrenheit 9/11, struck him as grandstanding, politics disguised as art. He sees soldiers as pawns. "I see them as heroes," Eastwood once told a friend in a rare outburst. It was about respect. Almost a decade later, Moore mocked American Sniper online, comparing it to Nazi films and Inglourious Bastards. He claimed it was just a joke, but Clint's team said he was livid. "He doesn't forget insults," one longtime collaborator explained. "He deletes them," and that's exactly what he did. Since that tweet, Moore's name has been erased from Clint's orbit. Eastwood has worked with liberals and conservatives alike, but he draws the line at anyone who mocks soldiers. To him, Moore didn't just cross it, he spat on it. Today, mention Michael Moore in Clint's presence, and the conversation ends. Number 3. Barbra Streisand, the perfectionist who provoked the cowboy. If there's one name that tightens Clint Eastwood's jaw, even after 9 decades in Hollywood, it's Barbra Streisand. She got under his skin so deeply that he still refuses to say her name in interviews. Their feud became one of Hollywood's coldest wars. It started in the early 1980s, when both were transitioning from acting to directing. Streisand was queen of control. 40, 50, sometimes 60 takes to capture a single expression. Clint worked the opposite way. 2 takes max, then move on. If it's not real the first time, he'd say, it's not worth filming. To him, Barbra embodied everything wrong with the new Hollywood. Control, vanity, endless overthinking. By the early 90s, their creative philosophies had turned into open contempt. When The Prince of Tides failed to earn Streisand a Best Director nomination in 1992, Eastwood was overheard saying, "Maybe if she made decisions faster, she'd finish more than 3 films in 15 years. The remark spread through the industry like wildfire. Then came The Bridges of Madison County, the project that broke any remaining civility. Streisand had been attached to direct but dropped out after years of indecision. Eastwood swooped in, rewrote the script, and delivered a quiet, emotional masterpiece. It won Meryl Streep an Oscar nomination and gave Clint his silent revenge. Since then, they've avoided each other completely. For Clint, she became the symbol of everything he despises in filmmaking: hesitation, control, and the death of instinct. In his code, you pull the trigger once, not 50 times. Number 4. Tommy Lee Jones, the alpha Clint couldn't tame. The first day Tommy Lee Jones stepped on the set of In the Line of Fire, Eastwood supposedly muttered, "2 bulls in 1 pen, this won't last." And he was right. On camera, they seemed perfect. Off camera, a duel. Jones argued, rewrote lines, and stayed in character long after cut. Clint, calm and silent, watched in disbelief. During a fiery confrontation scene, Jones towered over Eastwood, spitting every line with venom. When the director yelled, "Cut!" Jones didn't stop. The crew froze. Finally, Clint whispered, "Life's too short for that kind of theater," and walked off. From then on, casting directors could suggest Jones all they wanted. Eastwood's answer was the same. Great actor, wrong language. They never worked together again, never shared a panel, never mentioned each other. For Eastwood, there's only room for one alpha, and he calls cut. Number 5. Richard Burton. Clint Eastwood doesn't lose his temper easily, but Richard Burton came dangerously close. On the 1968 set of Where Eagles Dare, the problem wasn't ego, it was work ethic. Burton showed up late, slurred his lines, and often smelled of the night before. Clint, ready at dawn, watched in silence, respect draining with every stumble. After Burton flubbed the same line 10 times, Clint muttered, "I'm getting paid by the picture, not by the hour." The crew chuckled nervously. Burton didn't. The message hit. The final straw? Burton called the movie a paycheck job. For Eastwood, every film deserved full commitment. Years later, he summed up Burton in 2 words: talented guy, wasted talent. The film was a hit, but Clint and Burton never worked together again. For a man who wields silence like a weapon, that was punishment enough. Number 6. Jean Seberg, the woman who broke Clint's patience. Clint Eastwood doesn't talk about Paint Your Wagon. The reason? Jean Seberg. She wasn't just his co-star. She was fragile, unpredictable, and already under FBI surveillance. On set, her moods swung wildly. One moment charming the crew, the next locked in her trailer for hours. Clint, focused, punctual, allergic to drama. By week 3, he'd had enough. She'd stop mid-scene to question her motivation. Clint would just stare at the floor, silently counting the cost. When the movie bombed, Seberg publicly blamed his wooden performance. To Clint, that was the ultimate betrayal. From that moment, she was done. He never mentioned her again. When news of her tragic death came in 1979, he stayed silent, quietly sad, but never softened. "Some people aren't cut out for the work," he once said, "and I don't need to deal with it twice. So what do you think? Was Clint Eastwood right to cut them out of his life? Or did his silence go too far? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for untold Hollywood stories that were never meant to see the light.